And what won them convincing games yesterday up against Arctic was that Twin Blast Revenant double carry, or will Team Oxygen try to ban or first pick one of those? Because it's very easy to take that out of the equation. You either first pick one of those carries or you ban one of those carries. Either way, the moment you do that, you're able to completely deny that. So Decker banned out from Team Finesse. They don't want Marty to get his hands on that hero. Marty's been, he's the Decker player. He's he is literally Decker. I don't know if you guys knew that.
Literally just remove strongest support, one of the strongest supports in the game. Pretty standard ban. We've been seeing it throughout the tournament. And if we go on to the next ban from the side of Team Oxygen, we do see it is the Narbash ban. So 2 supports straight off the bat have been removed. This means that people are going to be grasping at roots at whatever is left. And so we're going to have to see how this plays out, whether or not people put an extra sort of priority on things like Muriel, or even if Finesse go back to that Richter they've been playing.
We saw Muriel picked up by Reborn. It is going to be the first pick Morgesh from Team Finesse. Arsenic had his hands on that last game. Morgesh, I think, so far this weekend has been the most highly picked mid laner, and I think she's been playing the off lane as well. Favoring her over Bellica and over Howitzer, who were sort of the 2 premier picks up until just this weekend. Going into that, the picks from Team Oxygen, there they are. They get the Twin Blast, so they deny one of the big hitters for the double carry on Team Finesse.
Yep, this is exactly what I was mentioning. Get rid of that double carry that they've been running, force them onto something slightly different. The supports have also been banned out, so it forces Finesse to be on. It's a lot more of a greater risk if they still go for double carry right now, because the only support left right now that will help protect them is a Muriel.
Yep.
And if Oxygen then goes for like a Richter or something along the same sort of lines, or even Bellica support, and you have a double carry, Bellica can just drain all of Muriel's mana, remove all the shield capabilities incredibly quickly, or just minimize the amount of shields. So you should get like 1 or 2 less shields in total over the course of a fight. As we can see, there is the Muriel I was talking about, and also a Revenant.
So Revenant picked up here. I'm going to assume that's going to be a safe lane Revenant. We don't want to make assumptions here. If I feel like we haven't seen it, if Team Finesse is, if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be Team Finesse, a double carry strategy, not with Twin Blast or Revenant. I feel like those are the 2 carries you need. I just can't see like a Murdoch or a Sparrow or a Yen or any one of the other carries really fitting into that sort of play style. I think for the first time this weekend, we're seeing Team Finesse drafting a little bit more contemporary, a single ranged carry sort of composition. Not yet determined. That's, I mean, it's indeterminate at this stage, but we'll see what Team Oxygen pick up here. They have their carry, they have their jungler. And I agree. I think Bellica would be just an overwhelming pick, or a overwhelming favorable pick here for Team Oxygen, just because everything she does is so good up against any of the hopes of double carry potential.
We can see also on this side of Team Oxygen, they grab the Bellica and the Feng Mao.
There it is.
So the Bellica, again, really strong, has got so many capabilities, the drone specifically as well, against a team with high ability usage, so Revenant as well with the Obliterate, Muriel and Morgesh with like Hive and the Shield, the Consecrated Grounds. Lowering that the number of times they can cycle through those spells is going to prove highly effective here on the side of Oxygen. It's looking like a strong composition from them. They don't have like a proper frontliner, so to say. They've got 2 bruisers who can take out a carry fairly well, or take out Morgesh fairly well.
Severog is on the field here for Team Finesse, and I know Chill Phil is extraordinarily comfortable on that hero, and yeah, there's the Severog right there. Howitzer now picked up, so there's proficiencies hero. So yeah, a very much more contemporary looking draft coming out from Team Finesse. Going to see that mid lane Howitzer strafe over on the Revenant, and I'd have to imagine it's going to be Morgesh off lane, mid lane Howitzer. I don't think it's going to favor the other way around here. Last pick, there it is for Team Oxygen. It's going to be that Rampage.
So Rampage, he's back. We haven't seen him for a while, especially with all the supports being banned out. I can see why. They already have Bellica sorted in their mid lane. Rampage, even though his rock has been nerfed recently and he has to use it whenever he picks it up, with the increase in health and armor, means that his survivability as a support has gone up a little bit. So even though you can grab like things like Quenching, he gets more health now. Gives him a little bit longer. He can probably get an extra stun out with that rock, which is going to help it. It's not, I think, the ideal support for Oxygen, but it's still one they're going to be fairly happy with.
Yeah, and I think Belica, just the value she's going to get out of mid lane. She deals so well with Morgesh. Morgesh, just for her DPS output is out of frequent instances of moderate damage, that long damage that she has to spam that mark every 4 seconds, as well as the hive as well. So I think Belica always makes casters' lives very, very difficult, but even more so for Morgesh here. And again, you talked about the ability spam coming out from Revenant, as well as the Muriel as well. So Belica is going to be that's just an overall really good pick most of the time, but up against the draft of Team Finesse, they got to make sure that they are playing either around the Void Drone or making sure they're killing it very, very quickly, or else they're just going to drain all their mana and zap them to death.
Brilliant. Are you ready to see our second game? What, semifinals?
Ladies and gentlemen, Jims, you took the words out of my mouth. Let's get this game underway, guys. Game 1 was so very good, and you got to believe Game 2 is going to just live up to that hype. Thank you so much. Don't forget, ! Matcherino. Head over to that website. Give these guys a little bit more to fight over, and see how these teams. Again, I feel like this is a preview into the North American qualifier. No doubt about it. These teams. I think the only difference is that we're going to see FaZe in play. When we see that first qualifier next month. But this is going to be very foreshadowing as to who are the favorites going into this, Jims.
Yeah, it's going to be a really tough game from either side here. I mean, we also have the finals to look forward to. Reborn are sitting there, probably watching these games right now, but looking like they probably don't know who they're going to want to play against, to be honest. They're going to be looking at these teams, and it's going to be like, which one do we think we're more favored against? It's going to be really tough to pick. Both teams have been playing incredibly well, and it's looking really tough here for both these teams to even take a win this game as well.
And don't forget, Imsco is on that comfort pick of his on Twin Blast. So Murdoch, I mean, back in the day over on Legacy, he loved playing Murdoch. Well, maybe not loved playing Murdoch. I don't want to speak on his behalf, but I definitely was comfortable on that hero. But now here on Monolith, Twin Blast is what he's always excelled at. If you watch his stream, it's pretty much a Twin Blast stream over at twitch.tv/Imsco. A majority of the time, a little bit more Revenant ever since he came out, but even then, he's transitioned back over to Twin Blast here. Reminal's on that Feng Mao. Just in my opinion, I think Feng Mao is the most well-rounded hero in the game. He has extraordinarily high kill potential. He has split push potential. He's difficult to lock down in the lane between Conversion Shield to negate big bursts of damage, specifically on Obliterate coming out from Revenant, as well as Reaping Dash to get himself into sticky situations and even get some steals on the gold buff, create killing potential onto the carry. Just he's sort of just the utilitarian DPS monster of Agora. And who else to play that hero than Ramros, man? And his build is just very straightforward. It's not some crazy build that's just got some weird cards in it. It's just a little bit of survivability, a little bit of stats, and just being outplaying and more technically gifted than a majority of players currently in the competitive scene.
Yeah, he's been doing incredibly well game after game, and it's allowed him to, get into a good position and get into a point where he doesn't get punished a lot. A lot of teams tried to punish him, but they always fail, and it's looking incredibly rough in general for people to punish him in that lane. He's getting the farm. Even right now, he's still got 7 creeps ahead of Suki on the 4 as well.
Morgesh in the off lane, we've seen her run in the mid here. I mean, if Suki can, pull that off, then I pull off the Revenant in the off lane, then he can absolutely deal the pull off the Morgesh in the off lane. She has a little bit more survivability as well.
So far, nothing much has really been happening. We had the sort of defensive start at the beginning, where neither team really, again, wanting to take any sort of risks.
Right.
And it looks like we can see Meds trying to go into the jungle here. Isn't really going to be able to do much here with it either. And again, stalemate a couple minutes into the game, even though the Rivers had been taken on both sides.
I believe I have a little bit of a replay issue here. See if we can sort that out. Get a quick time check and make sure we get that back going underway here. And we'll get that going here in just a moment. Jims,
Up to me.
Well, it's you're solo cast for a bit here, my man.
It should be fine. I mean, already you can see Ramriddle's taking a little bit of damage here on his tier 1. Not going to be too much of an issue for him. So overall, it's looking fine. And Suki has been caught out here as well, but is going to survive as well.
There we go. We did it. I'm back into the game. My replay locked up a little bit there, guys. That's why I was like trying to delay, talk about this gyms, talk about that gyms. We're back into the game. River buff spawn, double purple. Both the gold buffs have been picked up here. And yeah, Suki's taking some harassment, but another facet of Morgesh's kit, of course, is the health regen you get out of her kit when you walk through the creep. So she actually has some decent sustain in the off lane as well, off of the swarm when you walk through those creep and you get the extra regen.
Yeah, it's a little bit risky to go ahead and do that, though. And you can potentially push the lane against you, which is something you don't really want. You want it to be around your tower, where it's safe to farm, where you don't really get punished for it for the farm. And Suki has nearly died a couple of times in the early stages, has been pushed out because of the power of the Rampage Rock. It's still, even though the stun duration is a lot lower, the power of it is still there. Like the strength of it, the amount of damage you can just outright do, and it allows still enough time for Imsco to throw a couple of grenades under during it, which is enough to get a kill straight off the bat.
One of the big drawbacks of support Rampage, of course, he doesn't have access to Honor the Pure, so I have to imagine that either Ramriddles on Fengmao or Arsenic on Belica will pick up the Honor Pure. Out of those two, it makes more sense for the Fang to pick it up. Though Belica at the same time, when we have seen her run mid, a lot of players aren't afraid to go a little bit more utility-based inside of their deck building as opposed to just straight damage. So either way, they are able to overcome the shortcoming of Rampage support in one of two ways. Maybe they'll get 2 Honor the Pures. It's not unheard of, as 2 quenching scales is fairly common as well. As far as this lane matchup, though, Arsenic versus Proficiency, Belica has been known to, one small misstep from a howitzer, and Belica can just combo you down pretty easily. But Proficiency at this level of play, I think he's going to respect that fact. 30 seconds, next River Buffs. We'll see what the rotations are coming out from the jungler. We see Chillfill over on the safe lane, showed up a little bit too late to the party, as Meds was 1 step ahead of Chillfill in that jungle, and they pick up the first blood on Suki.
Suki, the first one to fall down, not on a carry this game, which is to note, is we saw a carry in the offlane with the Revenant. But again, Meds, because he's managed to get this kill, is now looking to be a little bit more aggressive here in the jungle, trying to take what resources he can, or at least push off Chillfill here from being able to take a couple of these camps for himself.
Muriel really doesn't, as far as kill potential here on the Fengmao with the Muriel, without a rotation coming from Chillfill, I think as long as he's... Yep, see, there's the conversion shield. Anytime you hear that obliterate going off, Ramriddles just has to use that conversion shield, and negates about 75% of the damage. He only didn't take that much damage at all, so I actually think Fengmao is going to have a pretty good lane here. Muriel's not necessarily the most aggressive support, really doesn't set up kills outside of a little bit of supplemental damage and the speed boost and snare that comes out of her kit. So, last game, they were able to really mitigate and starve Ramriddles for the first 5 to 10 minutes, relative to the amount of farm Ramriddles normally gets. But this time around with the Muriel, I think they're going to have a little bit harder time doing that, assuming Chillfill isn't constantly rotating, which as of right now, he's not doing, simply because he wants to get to those stacks. He wants to farm up, and also there's other places on the map he needs to be. If
we're just looking purely on farm right now, there's about 40-odd difference here straight away on the board. And Imsco, there is the curse coming out. It did get taken a little bit too low here from Suki, and that is the 1v1 fight. The power of Morghesh there.
Oh, yeah. She's she has one of the best level 1v1 kill potential level 5s. Just the auto target, there's nothing you can do at that stage. No stasis gem quite yet. No 8-minute stasis gem here coming out here, chat. But Suki was giving up the first blood, but bounces right back with great confidence and picks up a kill over an Imsco. Pretty straightforward.
It's also a 40-point card difference on the board right now on the side of Oxygen. So even though the fact that Suki did manage to get that kill, they're farming, Oxygen's still farming incredibly well. They're ahead on creeps. Ramriddles here is sitting at 38, whereas Suki's only at 20, so 18-point difference on the offlaners just from that as well. So about half the difference is literally just because of the offlaners. And that is going to actually impact quite a bit, because if you look at the points, we can see Ram is at 11. Suki, even with a kill, is only at 10.
Feng Mao's tower down about half HP. Decent wave clear with that cleave as well as hamstring, so he'll be able to defend this as in a respectable period of time. But again, there's no time constraints right here for Team Finesse. They're on the Dusk side. They don't have to worry about switching their lanes up anytime soon. It's always on the pressure for the Dawn side to push down that offlane tower if they feel like contesting their Raptors. But I've said that multiple times today on the broadcast, and the Raptors have really fallen off as far as we don't just see teams constantly going after them. They're now starting to realize and understand that they can gain an advantage economically throughout other places on the map, the new gold buff, and just being consistent with your CS and securing your carry farm. So the Raptors don't have quite as much priority, but you still want to make sure that your team's in decent position to pick that up when the time comes.
That being said,
yep,
they've changed it all up and they're going for it right at the spawn this time, and it is going to go inside of Finesse.
Of course. Of course. But I think that's just them abusing the fact that they didn't push down that offlane tower quick enough, Gems. They recognized they were making that push, and I think that was just a really good heads-up play coming up from Team Finesse.
Yeah, they swap essentially the tier 1 for the Raptors right now. So they do get a little bit from the tier 1s. The tier 1s do give a little bit of global as well, I believe. So it's a trade-off. Whether or not it is in favor of Oxygen, we'll have to see, because if we're just looking at points, we can only see Strafe sitting at 17 and Imster's at 16.
15 seconds, river buffs to spawn. Tier 2 tower under quite a bit of duress. Morgesh doesn't have the best wave clear in the world, but she's got plenty of mana. Subjugate lands. Imsko has nothing going right here. R2000 rocket, before he even hits the ground. Imsko gets taken out, and now going over to Marty. No level 5 on him, but Mez is here to at least ensure that there's no more kills picked up here. That was a pretty greedy push over in that tier 2 tower. There was no wards covering this entrance of the weak side jungle, as well as the entrance around flanking from the river buff. So I think that was just a greedy play and a pretty straightforward punish from Team Finesse picking up Imsko.
Yeah, they do get a pick on the board, which is exactly what they wanted as well. It's 2-1 now on the board on the side of Finesse. They are slowly creeping a little bit ahead in terms of card power. Strafe sitting at 18, Proficiency sitting at 15, but Arstic's farming incredibly well. So even though Proficiency has got a kill, the farming difference, the 25 creep difference, means that Arstic's actually ahead.
That's one of the hallmarks of Team Oxygen, is they're so efficient at soaking up as many resources on the map as they can. When it comes down to this level of play, with carries and mid, I mean, just all the heroes, whether you're support or not, these guys just don't miss CS. They just don't miss CS. It's just, and so when you're playing at that level, every CS you miss, it really starts to add up over the course of 10, 15 minutes. And that's what we're seeing here with a 70 CS lead going over to Team Oxygen. I mean, it's a 1 kill advantage as well. Even with Raptors, they pretty much completely negated that. And that's just one of their big strengths. And that has always been a way that they've always been able to manipulate themselves in the leads that otherwise seemed a little bit counterintuitive. There was a gank attempt over on the left side of the map, but Marty was able to get out of there. Let's take a look at the supports. How close are they to level 5 here, Gems?
A little bit off for Marty. He's still got about a third of his level. He's to get to 5. Not too much of an issue on Rampage. It just gives him become more of a nuisance as a support. He's not in the jungle. He's not really going to be building too much power. He's going to be mainly having a lot of health and trying to tank up as much damage as he can for his team. Has already got the completed quenching scales right off the bat as well.
Circle of Health is a card we've seen intermittently. I think we've seen it much more on like hard supports like Narbash and Muriel. Haven't seen it on the more sort of secondary supports like Rampage and Aurora and things. We haven't seen much Aurora at all, but not to derail too much, but I expect when FaZe is available for play that we might start to see a little bit more Aurora. We'll have to see how that breaks down, but that's going to be leading up to the qualifiers here, which don't forget, guys, $15,000 exhibition. Qualifiers, this channel, all next month. It's going to be sick. It's going to be nasty.
It's going to be a lot of American teams as well, and North American only. So we'll see a lot of this sort of matchup where we see Oxygen versus Finesse. We're going to see Reborn. All the guys who've made it to the finals this time, knocking out sort of a lot of the EU counterparts getting here. With the likes of Think Twice, Toronto, and Frost, who have all been knocked out. And It's going to be interesting to see because we're going to have a slight gap in terms of teams playing against each other.
Yeah.
And then we're going to have to see if sort of the European teams, the win come through from the West and the East qualifiers, if they can improve and come back and show these American teams that they actually win.
I'm most excited because it's going to be a LAN. There's going to be no more, oh, one side has latency issues. Nope. Not going to be the case. Not going to be the case. That's what I'm most looking forward to. But that's not until later this year, over in August, and I'm sure we'll see some changes to the cards as they continue to build here. Ramriddle's taking a lot of damage. He's just going to Reaping Dash away. Lucier level 6, so he's got that Reversal of Fortune online. We do see actually Imsco, they're making the swap over here on the left lane, as we so typically see. Raptors, again, have been cleaned up here with no contention, and they continue to do that. Nonetheless, CS lead remains firmly in the hands of Team Oxygen. Imsco at 21, Strafe at 22. Of course, Revenant has a big ability to get get a huge infusion of card experience. He gets those kills with the Bounty, with the Reckoning. You can tell Strafe just doing a lot of harassment damage over to Imsco. Marty
Raptors
flanking over?
Raptors are spawning, and Arsenic has black buff as well. So
yeah, it's only Ramriddles.
That black buff on Arsenic, though, is going to make... he's going to guarantee them getting these Raptors incredibly quickly. We're going to see one already down, and they back out.
Love it. And they have that beautiful just zone of vision of wards that gives them vision of all points of entry for Team Finesse to look for a fight here. Still 2 Raptors for them to have. And Team Finesse, they group up as 5. And Team Oxygen going with what they continue to do in Game 1 and will continue to do so here in Game 2. Relegate Ramriddles to farm freely, but more importantly, push down and create space for their team, forcing Suki to rotate off. They were able to clean up those Raptors, though. So 1 for 2. This game on the team fight aspect continues to be very, very tight. But we always see this, Gems, in games where there's much less team fighting and much less kills. It all boils down to who gets more out of the map, and undoubtedly that's Team Oxygen coming out ahead.
Well, you say that. Strafe sitting at 25 points. He's actually ahead of Imsco now on the board. He's actually out farming Imsco, seeing 35 farm. Even though Oxygen have got more farm overall, the difference in the carries is slightly grown already. 2-point difference on the board right now. The reason being is you see Ram being able to farm better than most people on either side of the team. You're seeing 97 minions right now, sitting at 23 points. Right, 23 points, whereas Suki only at 19 with 58 minions right now.
Ramriddle's padding those numbers, boys. That's what he's doing as far as the CS goes. Imsco and Marty are pushing up against this tier 1 safe lane tower. They don't have much vision deep into the strong side of the jungle. They're going to commit to this push anyways. They do have a siege minion and a full wave tanking the tower. Tower might fall, but we do see Chillfill's got the purple buff, uses the colossal blow. I think they'll focus it down. They do. Tower to fall. One more shot from the siege minion, the range minion. They keep it alive, and they get the kill over onto Imsco. Good rotation, just in the nick of time for Team Finesse.
Yeah, they also pick up another kill. Imsco 1 and 3 right now. Has been the source of all the deaths here on the side of Oxygen. Has been caught out a number of times, going for these sort of tower plays where they try overextend just a little bit too much, and he's been punished on numerous occasions this game. And the main issue that comes with this, he's losing time to farm. He's giving more free time to Finesse to actually sit there, get some creeps, and try claw the creep deficit they've built themselves up in as well. And again, it's going to be a really passive game, I suspect. I don't suspect either team are going to have big explosive fights until sort of the 20-30 minute mark. It is the semifinals. There's a lot on the line here for Finesse as well. You have to take into account they lost the first game. Their mindset might... Well, I was thinking their mindset might have had a couple of issues, but considering how explosive they started this game and how well they've targeted Imsco, I suspect they bounced back incredibly well.
Yeah, I mean, all these players, I think the only exception is Proficiency. I think he's the newest name on this roster, but everyone else has been involved in the competitive scene for, dating back to Legacy. Maybe not. No, Strafe has been back there as well. What was Strafe's whole name? I can't remember. He used to be called something else. His name's escaping me. Doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. But judging by the current course of the game, much more objective play, less team fighting per se, and just trying to gain some map control, manipulate the map on one side of the favor or not. We do see mid lane was taken out there. Chill Phil was a little bit late to the party, so the tier 1 tower pretty much falls for free. Team Finesse, a little bit of a sloppy rotation there, but not the biggest deal in the world. Tier 1 tower mid lane, 20 minutes. It's not like that's going to be game breaking. Slops, that's what it was. Thank you, chat. Slops.
Yeah, it's still, again, Raptors aren't up, so neither team are really going for it. And Imsco might have been caught out yet again. Took quite a bit of damage from that Obliterate coming out from Strafe, and he's at 30 points. I don't think 19 minutes into the game you want to be fighting that.
Nope. He had the black buff, but gotta be careful about that. I don't think Arsenic was expecting the 4-man mid-rotation over to mid lane, judging by the fact that he is dead. And this is a big push coming down. Are they going to go for this push? I mean, they definitely have what it takes. The tower is already low enough, and they will. Imsco being forced to back, as we just saw the Obliterate chunking him down with a couple auto attacks. Not going to be going for a tier 2 tower push. Instead, using this opportunity to deny some jungle camps, get some deep wards inside of there, and maybe in a little bit of staggered timing, do a concerted push invasion into the jungle. We'll see what they decide to do, but just a good kill, good tower, and just continue to play around these early game objectives.
Yeah, it's looking like neither team is making any sort of big risky plays. They're getting a pick, they're getting a tower, they're leaving it at that. We've got our advantage here, we're going to back out and not risk any more sort of risky snowball sort of style engagements that we've been seeing a lot of other teams favor over the course of the tournament. Another tier 1 going down here on the auction, that is going to free up the map a little bit for them, not too much that tower. It does mean they can go around for this Raptor now and set up for it, which is going to be prime for them, especially since River Buff's also spawning in about 8 seconds.
We'll see those River Buffs are going to be, ideally it's going to be that purple buff right outside the Raptor camp. That's the most ideal situation because it allows you to grant vision. It's going to be a black buff if they're able to get that one of the carries. Chill Phil's the one who's going to be picking that up. That's always the 4v4 engagement. Yeah.
The power of Siphon, a lot of people underrate the skill itself. It's incredibly strong for securing the river buffs, especially I think when you get to about the 28 stack, I think it is. 26, 27 stacks, depending on how much power you're building. You get to siphon the river buffs with just one hit, just instantly take it.
Arsenic looking for Seismic Assault. See if he can follow up from Remriddle's like triple Seismic Assaults we saw out of him yesterday. They're going to be able to clean up the Raptors. Remriddle's in a little bit of trouble, but he's going to be able to get away there. Don't think there's going to be enough damage onto him to get a kill from Suki, especially considering the fact that Suki just got torn into little bitty pieces by Team Oxygen. Colossal Blow used to just zone out meds, but that doesn't take the wind out of their sails, not enough. They still continue to march forward inside of the jungle, pick up a green buff, lay some deep wards, maybe get the Amber Link as well. Actually just deposited, so that's not going to be very viable. But still, they get the Raptors, they get a kill, and Team Oxygen, this is a complete converse to the game we just casted, Gems. It was Team Finesse who were the ones making the invasions, picking up Raptors, dictating the flow of the match. So Team Oxygen are already in a very good spot. 22 minutes into this game, the double deuces.
They are, and they also have built a lead on points across the board as well. You see Meds on 27, Chillfield 24, Imsco 35, Strafe 34. So Imsco is now actually ahead in points after those Raptors and those couple of fights. And also you see Martin 23, which has allowed him to get that quenching as we were talking about earlier. He's got a couple of damage items on the support rampage, which I really like. So he's going to actually be an actual nuisance to deal with, an actual threat for some of the carries like Strafe. He actually has to be worried about Martin. Yes, Martin might not have enough to kill him, but you have enough to put a dent into his life.
Especially when you're in that enraged form, the Rampage is such a big model and big hitbox that you can just pretty much take a carry out of the equation because he can't auto-attack past you. Of course, you always have to be worried about getting focused fire down, but it's one thing you do. Strafe is very low and a lot of trouble. Meds goes in there, and he challenges him to a fight. And it looks like he's going to come out of this ahead. Maybe one more swing. Strafe is going to die to the bleed, more than likely, unless he gets a heal, a shield, a quench, he scales anything. He is going to live, not the bleed isn't enough. Meds went in. I thought that was going to be a secured kill, and so did Meds, but instead, he gets picked off. Suki uses the curse, consistent damage through the walls of Morgesh, but it's Arsenic is the one that they're pursuing now. And that's a triple for Team Finesse. And continuing, they do not get demoralized by these engagements here. They've been losing most of the engagements up until this point, but they come back and pick up 3 big kills. First real favorable engagement for the North American team. Well, both of the teams are North American. What am I
Well,
talking
they're
about?
both North American, but again, it's really interesting to see that the fact that they weren't able to take out Strafe meant that they used a lot of their spells and a lot of their resources. That they didn't have enough to actually take the subsequent fight when the rest of the guys came in as reinforcement and started actually putting out their own damage. When you saw Suki come in and put Hive and the Mark and the Curse on a number of different people, it made it incredibly difficult. And because of that, 3 kills, that is a prime now going over the side of Team Finesse. First prime of the day. We've seen it before though. Is this prime going to be enough for them to snowball the lead? In the previous match, there was a number of primes across both sides, but it wasn't enough.
And not only was it not enough, Team Finesse was in a better place economically. They had a significantly larger lead economically. They had both their carries essentially maxed out for 15 minutes, even with the prime card. Just their team fight execution was inferior to that of Team Oxygen here. Their ability to control the map was pretty much even. Orb Prime is going to give them a little bit of a power play here for approximately, right now, probably looking at about a minute and a half right now. It's been about 30 seconds since they picked it up here. I'm not sure if Team Oxygen were even aware of it, because they were sort of just lackadaisically sitting on the map. I guess they were just going to forfeit it even if they knew about it. Nonetheless, big play coming out here from Team Finesse. Going to see what they're able to pick up here. Suki is pursuing Ramriddles, but the mobility of Feng Mao, he's going to be able to get out of there before he takes too much damage. I want to make sure he doesn't get low enough to where the curse puts him into death's territory. Mid lane, 4 people here. Now the rotation from Suki. They're going to set this wave, wait for a siege minion. The capability to push down a tower this time, they have that howitzer. That Make It Rain will just zone them out. They can focus this down. We'll see what the call is. Chillfield goes in. The subjugate actually looked at interrupted, and wow. Mez just got destroyed right there. The thing about Grux is he transitions into a tanky build. He hasn't really had much time to transition to that. He only has a 6-point Toon Barrier and a 6-point Blood-Soaked Armor with very little health right now. He's not that tanky quite yet. It's only 26 minutes in. So one of the frontliners is down here for Oxygen, and this next second round of the push, we're going to see what they're able to do. They defended with worse odds than this, Gems. Let's see if they can continue to do it. Chillphil misses the Colossal Blow. Ramriddles is going to immediately Reaping Dashing up. They're forfeiting the tower. They're forfeiting their jump pads. And I think this is the right call. Still 15 seconds with no Grux online. The Prime card is giving them a little bit of regen, allowing them to sustain this push. That's only 4 creep. They do have decent wave clear and zoning tools with the Bellica, but that drone is now going to be on cooldown. Oh no, Ramriddles gets knocked out and he gets isolated and killed immediately. And all the meanwhile, on the other side of the map, the tier 2 tower falls. So they're going to have to dedicate someone over there if this team fight takes too long. The Prime card can't have much time on it. In fact, it just now expired. Colossal Blow used to zone out meds, but there is no creep. Inhibitor at 1/3 HP, and it appears that Oxygen is going to hold their inhibitor here.
They might hold it. Depends how aggressive we see Finesse actually here. If they decide, even without Prime, they've already put a lot of resources down this inhib to 1/3. Are they just going to go for it here?
Emsco did have to back. He's not here right now. He needs to get here as soon as possible. Blink up forward, obliterate onto R-Stick. The mine is actually going to knock him away from the fight, but he has to back. The inhibitor is inevitably going to fall. Patience being displayed here by Team Finesse. I think they're taking what they learned from game number 1. They were a little bit more patient with the siege there, and they're coming out ahead. But this is what happened in the previous game. They were able to pick up that inhibitor, and Team Oxygen were still able to play around it and ultimately come out ahead. But I think more so, definitely a much more disciplined and patient push coming out from Team Finesse right there.
What I've been seeing a lot of teams do is they often force down the mid inhib, especially when they have the sort of advantage that they've built. Especially with Prime, you can play around the map a little bit more instead of going for like the mid inhib, as you saw here. You could take sort of the side ones. Specifically, actually at this point in the game, either one would be good because it's either away from the Raptors or either away from the Prime. So it forces rotations to take a little bit longer than usual, and I would like to see teams sort of take the side inhibs first.
Yes, I agree.
And force sort of map control in that sort of sense.
It's just so intuitive to be like, all right, let's go mid, let's go. You know, it's so easy to do that and it's so accessible, but you always are granted a little bit more map control when you do get one of those side inhibitors. Still going to be happy about the fact that they essentially, I mean, if Team Finesse take a complete one-sided team fight. They can just pretty much go up the gut of mid lane and win the game. Would be very uncharacteristic, and I don't foresee that happening with Team Oxygen, but the possibility is there. So Team Oxygen have to play even more careful than normal. Suki has the blue buff, which is actually enabling him to chase down meds. The Hive Snare on him as well. You do see the rest of his team rotating, but turning around the corner behind the tier 2 tower, the flank, I don't think they're expecting this. They have no idea. Ramriels turns around and sees most of his opponent on the other side of the field, but Imsko's on the high ground in between the two inhibitors, and they aren't going to go for the kill here. That almost would have been a really beautiful flank if it was just a little second earlier, but still, they're going to roam around the jungle, put in some deep orbs, deny some jungle, and get something out of this.
Yeah, they didn't have the wave set up beforehand, so they realized, look, the wave's actually pushing against us. It's not going to reach this tower at any point. And we kind of... Doing this will be incredibly risky if we mess up. So they can't get the kill. They back out. They take a full Amber Link away from the side of Oxygen, which is just denying a little bit of resources, and they go back to farming yet again and probably just wait for the next two big objectives, either the Prime or the Raptors, and then look for a fight around that.
Let's see where Strafe is at in his build. 49 card points. Has his maxed out Spear of the Rift Hunter, granting him that 48 card experience. I didn't even look at it. I'm just assuming at this point. Let me make sure I'm right. Nope, just kidding. 24% crit chance. Over here in mid lane, Suki is saved for now. Reversal of Fortune on cooldown, but a reinitiation from Team Oxygen could be enough because there is no shields for survive a good amount of time. Oh, just Arsenic was a little bit too soon on that Cerebral Disruptor. He thought he was going to time it right as the shield fell off to get the damage to take out Muriel, but no, that's not the case. A slight mistiming, and Muriel's going to get away from what more than likely should have been a guaranteed kill. A big engagement. No one goes down. They're going to fall back to the lanes and continue just biding their time. And Orb Prime is going to be spawning here in just a couple of moments.
Yeah, I think it's about, what, 30 seconds or so? It's probably going to come up.
Yeah.
It's going to make this game incredibly interesting because we saw before the power of the Prime was able to take down that inhibitor. The same could be done on the reverse. So if Oxygen managed to grab it, I wouldn't be surprised if Oxygen want to go down mid and sort of negate their own inhibitor being down and sort of get equal amount of supers pushing against each other. If they get that chance, depending on this fight, Prime is now up. The vision control is pretty equal across the board. A few wards here or there on either side.
Neural Disruptor chat, relax. I was thinking of Turok. I'm sorry. Big shout out to everyone who get that reference. Chill Phil, he is got the stab link. We saw how great that was at catching people out, stab linking forward, and then subjugating. Something we don't really see much on Sevarog. I'm glad we're starting to see these just play-making cards being put. Of course, it does have the caveat where you have to give up a little HP, but Sevarog has so much HP between his cardamization, as well as the fact that he gets those soul siphons. Zoning, vision, posturing. Both teams trying to gain vision control over the Orb Prime. Subjugate lands on an Imsko. He's going to rocket boots down to the low ground where Arsenic is waiting. Forces out the blink, but proficiency goes in. Oh, the landmine was a little bit to the side. He might get taken out here. The Ventilate, he's so very low. Is he going to be able to get away? The blink forward. Proficiency still alive. Arsenic uses the Neural Disruptor chat and gets the kill. And now a re-engagement here. They want to force the issue. They want to get more kills. Taking Muriel off the map will open up the map and also mean that there will be no possible contention. And oh, there he goes. The smash and grab into the Earth Shatter. 2 go down. Team Finesse. I think they're going to have to submit this Orb Prime. Be a very risky proposition for them to try to defend it, but it's also at the same time, it's a risky proposition to defend against a push with the Prime card activation. Suki is sitting there. Bramriel's zoning, not allowing them to move up. He falls back, almost baiting them out to come. Is there a Reckoning online? Smasher grab on his strafe. Oh no, this could be disastrous, but he had the Blink Charm. He's able to get away. There's the Reckoning. But he could still potentially die in this 1v1. It's Team Reborn, a.k.a. Ramriddles, is trying to get away. And Team Finesse, they do hold. The Reckoning actually ended right as the Obliterate was casted. That's going to be Ramriddles being thankful about that. He's going to get away from what more than likely would have been enough damage to take him out. So, Imsko goes down. That was a great defense from Team Finesse. That was they were on thin ice right there, Gems. If that team fight didn't go their way, that could have just been the game.
Well, it's the same issue you see time and time again, where they get 2 kills, but then they go for the Prime, but they don't actually have the damage to take it that quickly. They do a lot, but because you have things like Morigesh, who can just sit there, throw a hive at you, and then peace out while you're still taking damage from the orb, makes it an incredibly risky proposition to go for. And you can see in this case, you can see Revenant comes in, just manages to get the Obliterate onto Imsco, and instantly what was looking like a healthy fight has been turned around.
I just realized that the Morgesh Revenant synergy is actually pretty crazy when it comes to that Orb Prime area. It's like, well, there's a wall here, but there really isn't. There actually isn't a wall here. We're still going to be spamming curses and obliterates on you as you try to do the Orb Prime. Something I think a lot of us are just now realizing the strength of, not only around the Orb Prime, but anywhere inside of the jungle where there's a lot of walls and bends, curves of structures. Raptors spawning, and Team Finesse immediately rotate over here. That mid inhibitor forces Team Oxygen to fall back and have to deal with that, granting them a small but enough opportunity to sweep in here and clean up those Raptors before Team Oxygen is able to contend.
Yeah, it gives them that extra lead. Strafe, 35 minutes into the game, is nearly 60 points. That is somewhere you're going to be pretty happy to see your carry maxed out. The problem is with him actually maxing out is that he's not going to get any stronger.
Yep.
So Oxygen will be getting slowly stronger. Strafe's already at his sort of maximum unless they manage to get that prime, which is going to give time for Oxygen to catch up and get more damage on their side themselves. They're now posturing over this prime, but I don't think either team really wants to start it.
Blinks forward, but Mez blinks at the same time. And this is what I want to see them use. They touching off of the fact that Strafe is no longer going to be getting any more power out of his cards. This is an opportunity for them to try to bounce off of that, to play off of that. Orb Prime would be the best possible situation they can do. Left side of the field, we see Ramriddles and Lucer going at each other's throats. Feng Miao definitely has kill potential, not only on this tower, but more so onto the Muriel. But Muriel can get into this fight. Stasis Gem used by Suki. He's in a bad situation. It's a reversal of fortune. He needs to come into the fight, but no, he's too preoccupied by Ramriddles. Suki's the one who gets taken out. Strafe lives narrowly. I'm surprised there wasn't a reversal of fortune there, to be honest, James, but I guess at the same time, they want to make sure that they don't lose their inhibitor, and they quickly rotate over, trying to find a reprisal kill. If they can take out Ramriddles here, that'll be great for them to even up the odds. Chillfill is just body blocking him. The landmine is there. It's an R2000 rocket. There's a reversal of fortune onto Strafe, negating the ultimate from Arsenic. Still, a power play from Team Oxygen. Ramriddles is able to get away out of that situation, and they're going to come out 35 seconds with no Morgesh. They are forced to back because they're so or rather Ramriddles is forced to back, but everyone else is still topped off, and they're going to go for this Orb Prime, and I think they're going to get it here. They went on that Orb Prime right as the rest of Team Finesse were backing. You can tell they're trying to get there as quickly as they can, but I don't know if they have the time. Nope, they don't. Orb Prime's going to go over to Team Oxygen.
Yeah, they do manage to get it. That sort of control of the enemy team's health bars, forcing them to back out, recognizing they had to recall because they'd taken a lot of damage, used a lot of their resources, and then taking advantage of that and sneaking that orb. They already had complete vision, so that Finesse couldn't really risk it. They couldn't really risk checking it. They didn't have any vision on the actual pit itself to see if it was actually being taken or not. They couldn't hear it, and it ends up being a really strong power play coming out of here outside of Oxygen. What we need to keep track of now is how much they can actually take from this. How much of an advantage can they try and gain on their side? How many inhibs can they potentially take? Because they are down one in this mid lane, and we want to see if they can at least equalize that.
A decision to be made. Do you push down the mid lane to even the inhibitor, or do you go for a little bit more value inhibitor, specifically that left lane, which pushes your team and forces your opponent to be further away from the Orb Prime? That Orb Prime is always the big win condition. It's either that it helps you win a team fight, it helps you win a push. And if you can control your opponent and force them to be as far away from that as possible, which is literally what won Oxygen the game, is their ability to force Team Finesse to have to back constantly. I think that's what they want to do. But right now they're sort of split pushing.
They're setting up all their waves in time for the fight. So they're going to have all three waves crashing so that if they win the mid fight, they can easily rotate to the other side. And because the waves are already there or prepared, they can take the other objectives fairly quickly as well.
Mid lane tier 2 tower to fall. You give that up in this stage of the game. Make sure your inhibitor's alive, as well as buying time for Strafe to go over to left and counter set his wave. So now that wave will be pushing in their favor, and they don't have to worry about that. Ramriddles is being forced to back all the way back to his base. And so with the just good control, good manipulation, and they're forcing Oxygen to, at least for the time being, forcing Oxygen to back, and all they're going to get out of this is a tier 2 tower. I was expecting more And I think they should have been able to get more, but I think Team Finesse just did a good job at forcing the hand of Team Oxygen.
Yeah, they didn't allow them to have all 3 waves set up at any point. You can see Suki could have been potentially really deep in terms of how far he was pushing, could have been potentially punished for that. Didn't end up happening, so you managed to actually get a reasonable amount of farm for himself and also push the lane in his favor so that Oxygen weren't able to sort of get that tri-push of all 3 waves. They couldn't set that up as much as they wanted to, and that's all they're going to really get out of this Prime. And I don't think they're going to be too happy with that, especially because it's still no inhibitor. The inhibitors are still up on the side of Finesse, and even though Raptor's spawning now, card points don't really matter. The power of the Prime is pretty much what is going to determine a lot of these matches right now.
We've hit the stage where the Raptors are delegated over to other, essentially lower priority heroes. Either your offlaner or your mid laner are pretty much next in line to where you want to get maxed out. But it's not really worth. I mean, but with that being said, it's not really worth it to do the Raptors at that point. They're going to get their farm. It's all about getting your carry online, that prerequisite farm that they need so very desperately. So I don't foresee Raptors being taken. At least I don't foresee as much contention being over them with how fast that they melt. Like one team can just take them at a moment's notice before the team can even respond. And if a team is in a place to respond, we're not going to see the other opponent go after it because it's not as important of objective and it's not really worth putting yourself in a bad position. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think once again, 40 minutes into this game, I won't be surprised if we start encroaching an hour tops. As these guys, right now, the current strategy transitioned away from towers and laning to just manipulating, creep, and controlling. Stasis Gem, Reversal of Fortune used, Earth Shatter used, but actually Chill Pill knocks him away right as the damage goes down, and the Muriel Shields completely negated it. Mets is in a lot of trouble. He's going to retreat away, but Marta Rivia has wrapped around from the strong side of the jungle and is trying to isolate Suki, do what he can, but he has to be careful. That 3-man landmine completely just negating any sort of counter initiation or secondary initiation from Team Oxygen. A lot of ultimates used on both sides of the field. Both teams come up empty-handed.
So really strong disengage coming out on the side of Finesse. They recognize that they can, back out a little bit, and were able to, stall for a lot longer. They want to get the rest of their guys up in points, get proficiency up to 60 points is incredibly strong. He's sitting at 54 right now. He's got double meltdown, Ash of the Witch fully upgraded. Doesn't have a bonus, but it's a lot of power just straight on the board. Stasis Gem looking to get that upgraded as well. Just get as much power as they can on the board and fill out these cards to their maximum and just increase overall power.
If you take a look at the mid inhibitor being down, it feels like that it hasn't put that much pressure on our Team Oxygen. At least judging by the way they're fighting. They still are containing objectives. They're still being a presence on the map. They have great wave clear, but it feels like the Team Oxygen just know how to deal with this situation. They know how to set that mid. And at the same time, Team Finesse really hasn't been pushing that mid lane very much. They haven't been like going, okay, let's just go mid and maybe try to set the waves in the other lane and force them to defend their core. We saw them starting to feign a little bit of pressure there in the mid lane as they are posturing, invading the strong side of the jungle of Team Oxygen, maybe rotating over to Meds. Meds knows he's in some trouble and he has to get away. But they have some deep wards inside the jungle. Orb Prime spawning here in approximately 30 seconds. They have a good perimeter of vision set up here, Gems. So they have pretty much wards exactly where they need them. Maybe the only other spot would be over here closer to mid at the river on the opposite side of the fog wall. But other than that, they have a perimeter set up. And if they take the Orb Prime, they're going to know when Team Oxygen is coming.
Yeah, it's coming up in about 40 seconds from now. So it's going to be a point where you can already see the vision coverage on the side of Finesse. They've got incredible coverage on the strong side of the jungle of Oxygen. They've got ones inside of the pit as well. And they also have this mid lane that they're going to force push before backing out to get.
Invasion once again into the jungle. Chillfill has the purple buff. So to get on Imsco. He does have the green buff, but he just goes right from the cannon to... Oh, man, did he get blown up right there. No Imsco for 70 seconds. The carry is down. And now the play here.
This is exactly what they wanted. They do manage to now get a potentially free Prime where one of the main outputs of damage are actually gone from Oxygen. Can they actually contest this? I don't think they can.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they can do. I think they're just going to have to give this up and then make a defense. You see Marty maybe looking for a steal, but the landmine is going to negate it. Close! But no cigar. The rock, the boulder, was just a moment too late. We see Suki backing up more so because, again, Ramriddles is just being that nuisance, forcing constantly Suki to have to back. And the moment Suki has to back, Ramriddle says, all right, I'm heading back, and I'm going to make sure I'm sitting here for a full 5-man defense coming down the pipeline of that right lane. Looking at mid lane, of course, with the super minions favoring Team Finesse, they can play this out in multiple different ways. This is their moment. They weren't able to take out game number 1. You better believe that they have a chip on their shoulder right here, Gems, because they were so close for so long. And taking that game, they need to make something happen here. Imps goes back on the field, but we've seen them fall back, repressure, fall back, and it's Meds is actually the one trying to go in.
Well, they're waiting for Arsenic for Suki to actually get there.
Boulder lands up proficiency. He's going to fall straight right back into the hands of Ramriddles. The Stasis Gem is used as well as the Reversal of Fortune, a combination that has kept people alive in sticky situations throughout the course of the game. But Fangmail continues to go in. The ultimate, I don't think it landed there. Actually, the Stasis Gem now forced on Ramriddles, putting himself in an awkward situation. Here comes Suki charging around the corner, but immediately starts taking pop shots. The Boulder as well. Marty might be able to finish the kill. Can they kill him? Stasis Gem keeping him alive while Chillphil tries to zone out the rest of the team. Everyone on the side of Team Oxygen is so low. They're snared. They're trying to move forward. The curse goes down onto Marty. Is the damage enough? Chillphil trying to get him. The Soul Siphon, the big hand, gets the first kill of this very long engagement. Oh, the landmine knocking Ramriddles to his death as well. Smasher grabbing a Chillphil, but he's too damn tanky. Severog just tanking all the damage. Or go down. This may be the moment. Don't get too greedy. Strafe's tanking the tower. They want to get Meds. They want to get the handful. But Meds is going to be able to get away here, but they need to fall back. No, they don't. Falling back. This is Team Finesse. They're going to take game number 2 after having such a close game number 1. And we're going to go all the way. We're going the distance. Game number 3 between these two teams, so evenly matched. Team Finesse took what they learned from game number 1, applied it to game number 2, and were able to get that nail hammered right into the coffin.
Wow. Game number 3 now. I really want to see what these teams actually pull out of the bag. I felt like both teams have kind of shown their hands in the first 2 games. So we saw the double carry comp come out. Then we saw this single carry comp with Suki playing a non-carry role in the offlane. So we saw him playing the Morigesh. And now I want to see if they change it up, or whether they think, okay, let's give them the double carry comp. We beat them before with the double carry comp on the side of Oxygen. Can we beat it again? Or if they even try to change up. I mean, it's so many different things they can change, both of these teams, in terms of what they want to do or what they want to achieve. That this third game, this next pick and ban that we eventually will get into after the break, it's it's going to be interesting to watch, and I really want to see how well it turns out for them.
Paragon Competitive League, number 8, game 3, semifinals, Team Oxygen, Team Finesse. These are some of the best games that we've seen leading up into this point, and it's so good knowing that we're going into a month-long exhibition qualifier event. We're going to see a lot of these same teams, a lot of these same rosters. Some rosters are going to have changes. Same 2 guys. Game number 3. I'll see you in just a minute.